Why are we not going in? Sometimes they can. Okay. All right. I think we're now live. I think we're good evening, everyone. Today we have with us a special guest, brother man who and I'm talking about none other than Anthony Hylton, MP for West St. Andrew. I am Michael Nita, your host, and John.
We're not hearing you anymore.
Your mic is muted, Mikey.
Turn on the mic.
What's happening in West St. Andrew and Waterhouse in particular. I know election is due anytime, so I know a lot of us will have interest in the election, the PNP campaign, and how we can help in whatever form. So, Mr. Hylton, welcome to Waterhouse, brother.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me again. Good to be on your program.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you now.
Are you hearing me?
We're hearing you, Mikey.
You went out for a while.
Someone I'm not hearing.
Yeah, you've been going in and out, and I got a message from Herb saying he's waiting backstage.
Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you, Mikey.
Anyone?
What you?
I'm hearing you, Mikey.
Okay.
Herb is saying he has been backstage for 8 minutes.
Okay. Yes. I was saying, Mr. Hylton, I want to extend a welcome to you for joining us this Sunday. I know you text me and you say you were at a funeral in Waterhouse in the area, and I hope it's nothing too drastic, but you know, the people around events like that. So, again, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I want to ask about what's happening in West St. Andrew.
Well,
but before I get to those questions, there are two events that I would like to hear your voice on. The first one is the amendment that was passed by the Parliament this week. The amendment with your prison sentence is 50 years. My question is, what is the PNP position? Or better, what is your position as a legal advisor?
Well, our position was stated very clearly in the Parliament. I spoke. Well, this time around this week, we had the debate was held previously, but they delayed it because of some questions and concerns that we raised. But they came back this time with a vengeance, and their only intention was to pass the bill. Again, I remind you listeners that we are 49-14. So in respect of a majority to pass any bill, with the exception of any constitutional bills, they don't even need a vote in the House, and they certainly have the majority in the Senate as well. So the debate was had. Our position was very clear and has been very consistent. This administration has really take a stance that the answer is is increased punishment and not to deal with the underlying factors and pay much attention to any of the social factors. In fact, much of the 9 years we spent debating and arguing with them from special economic zone, the special economic zone, emergency legislation, special economic, special, the special legislation and extension that they brought to impose curfews and emergency, states of emergency that they brought. We have been arguing to them that those are really not the answer. Interestingly, the moment after we decided to use or blocking minority or blocking minority in the House and in the Senate to stop the SOEs from being implemented, they've started to focus on what we have been recommending to them, which is targeted policing rather than a broad brush net fishing kind of business, to focus on the perpetrators of crime, given the fact that they have been saying that they've invested billions in intelligence and data gathering. So we've said to them, put it to the test. You have the intelligence, focus on the intelligence, but we want a court supervised process so that whatever evidence you have, there is due process. You bring them to the court see that you have evidence, and we can go forward. But what we have instead, quite frankly, is increased spate of killings, police killings, no due process there. They refuse to wear the body cameras so that one can see what is happening. And in every instance, the alleged perpetrators are fired on the police, and the police return fire, and they're dead. So the pattern is there, and at the same time, the other kinds of crimes are not being paid attention to. White-collar crime, bank frauds, and agricultural theft, and other kinds of serious crimes are not being attended to. But the murder rate is gone down generally, but the murder rate for persons attacking the police has gone up dramatically. So some things are going on. We are for strong policing when it comes on to murders, but we want to make sure that we get the bad guys and not just someone who we label as bad because they come from the wrong area or the wrong community, but that there's evidence to support their activity. So opposition is very, very clear, but they don't need our votes to pass any kind of legislation in the House, excepting that which has constitutional implication.
Mr. Hylton, on what you have said,
so
I think. Can I go ahead, Mikey? Yeah, Mr. Hylton. You hear me?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay. It would seem like the government is riding on the back of the fear that is gripping the country when it comes to criminal activity. And it would also seem like they're trying to build their campaign around the idea that they're getting crime under control by presenting the picture that the murder rate is going down. And so it would seem that it's not surprising that they don't care about what the PNP is saying or anybody else. To me, it would seem as if they are waging a war against anybody who get up and say anything about rights of youths or rights of citizens, when I hear the commissioner of police, the same message as the GLP politicians, if somebody raise something about human rights, they try to paint a picture that you're not living in this real world. You're not living in real Jamaica because rights doesn't matter right now because it is about driving down the murder rate. And that's the course it seems as if they are on. So I'm not surprised that you're saying they're taking the positions that they can ram things through based on their majority.
Correct. Correct. Well, that's the stance they've taken from the beginning. And let me just say, as someone who represents an inner city community, these are the communities that bear the brunt of this policing, this method of policing. So it is true that crime is a part of the daily life in inner city communities, but so it is generally across the country. But very often, these are the communities for which this kind of policing, which appeals to another majority of persons who feel that it's only other children and only people from the inner city commit crime. The fact is that the evidence does not bear that out. And let us be very clear: persons who commit crimes and is proven to be so, then the law has to have its course, but it has to be and should be as part of a process, a due process. Because if without that, there's no protection of anyone's rights. And so we have to insist that it be as part of a due process. We have said the legislation, what is needed is the application of the intelligence that the improved intelligence that the government has argued that it has now after billions of dollars spent. And now that it has this intelligence and it is having these successes, now is the time it is choosing to look at the underlying social conditions, which someone like me have been pleading with. The records are there from day one, pleading with the government to say, look, even as you do this, even as you get tough on crime, what are you doing to assist inner city communities like my communities in Waterhouse, in Seaview, in other areas? Again, bearing in mind that I represent a mix of communities. I represent some of the richest people in the country and some of the poorest in the country. And so I want a balanced approach to policing so that every one of my constituents, and indeed every Jamaican, could feel that they have an opportunity, if they're accused of anything, that there's an opportunity for the government, the state who's accusing them, to bring forward the evidence to demonstrate that, and the law is there. So we have to rely on the legal process to ensure that everyone have a fair opportunity, and not because once that goes, then we know that is the inner city, the target will be inner city communities and inner city youths. And that cannot be. So our position is very clear. But as I said, we'll have an opportunity shortly. We'll have an opportunity shortly for the people to rectify what we believe is an imbalance.
Mr. Hylton, I want to revisit the first question I asked you on the 50 years. I hear you, sir. I heard what you have to say, but my question, can you give a commitment that if and when the PNP comes to power, they will revisit this amendment? Can you give us that commitment?
We'll give them our stand.
Because this 50-year thing is foolishness.
No. Well, let me say this to you. My stance, I enunciated my position on the legislation. That is my position, and the party supported that line, and I do not expect that will change. Which is that 50 years is excessive, especially for you're talking about young offenders. This is a particular the particular amendment was about. This is after they passed a slew of other legislation about murders and all kinds of things. This one was about young people, young offenders, and how they are to be treated. And you're giving them 50 years without the opportunity for any rehabilitation or anything. So we are very clear that that is simply that belies the evidence, that belies the opportunity for rehabilitation, and that is the way, as was said by Mr. Crawford, that is their campaign strategy, which is to play to the fears of everyone, so that no one is prepared to protect the rights of anyone, and you think notionally that let's get the killers. No, that's easier said than done. How you get the killers and who are the killers is a big question. And in the process, in this style of policing, a lot of innocent people are going to get caught up.
Mr. Hylton.
Mikey, you remember I said to you, you wanted the PNP position and range of issues. I said, speak with the General Secretary or someone so they can enunciate that. My position is very clear. And I've given my position.
General Secretary.
Yes, I've heard nothing else to the contrary. So I would believe, but if that were to change, then that they'd have to have that discussion in the party. And I know what my position would remain to be. So I can speak clearest for myself on any issue on this program. And I know what the party has enunciated, and I'll enunciate what the party has. I'm not saying they can't change it, but there is an internal due process, and my position is very clear.
I get the feeling that I understand the PNP position clearly, right? And it's a position I agree with on fighting the targeted approach to fighting crime. But I also get the feeling, Mr. Hylton, that a lot of Jamaicans are falling prey to that idea that, because the crime rate is high, the anxiety justifies the means that the police and the government is using. My question is, how is the PNP, even though we understand the PNP position, how is the PNP trying to get that message to the broader Jamaican population? Because I think right now, we hear a lot of people talking on social media, some of the influencers on social media buying into that kind of thing. I think there needs to be some added campaign to counter that view that is taking hold among some Jamaicans.
Well, let me say this. It is the government knows that that's perhaps one of the few things they want to campaign on, which is fear, and the fear factor among our people, which is very high. High murder rate is a reality. And so the concerns are there. But whenever you have a situation where you are prepared to throw away due process and the rule of law, then what you get is lawlessness. And then it's just a matter of who you decide to target. And in that process, all kinds of things go wrong. And I think the opposition must ensure that there's some accountability. Accountability must be a part of it. You cannot simply say go out and kill any and everyone, and you're not accountable to anyone. And all you're simply doing is playing on the fear factor of everyone. So even as some of the persons who themselves are in need of the protection are falling prey to this fear mongering, any responsible opposition must and cannot join the government who is desperate and saying, let us dispense with the rule of law, and what you have is a jungle justice. That cannot be a position that is supportable. What we support is the use of the intelligence. The government has spent billions of taxpayers' money over the last 9 years, telling us that they're beefing up the resources and the methods and capacity of the force to collect the evidence, to prosecute the crime, and to have better intelligence. All of that must be put to the test. No. But you cannot have the government saying this is what it does and there's no intervention by the courts or any other body. Indicom is paralyzed. I don't think there is a kind of cooperation that is necessary, because if that were the case, then the argument for body-worn cameras is a simple argument. If you say that you're being attacked and that's the reason why you're killing everyone you're going in search of, then the body-worn camera will show that. And that will clear the police, and that will clear the victims. They'll show who is doing what. But instead, they're doubling down on the fact that that should not be used in the circumstances under which these questionable killings are likely to take place. So I don't think it's simply a matter of PNP.
John,
of course,
you have a question for us?
Not on this specific thing. I mean, the point that welcome, Mr. Hylton. Yes, the point that I understood is being emphasized is that the hands of the PNP is relatively tied based on their weak position in Parliament. So my question really is, what's happening to eliminate that weak position? I mean, what's going on? What's the PNP doing? How is it looking? When do you anticipate an election so that the PNP's hands are not as diminished as they are now? I watched the budget debate and it was so vivid, the very small representation of the party in the House. So a lot of what you're saying is simply just, your PNP complain, but it's not being heeded by government. And I don't know what other steps you can take. So I'm looking at the bigger picture because it seemed to be imminent. At least the minds of the country is focused on an election in the near future.
Yeah.
You want to speak to that? I thought you were going to be coming on about that, but I know we asked you some questions carry you in a different direction.
Correct. And so what has with a campaign, we have to be mounting a campaign now because an election is due and the PNP's position is evolved. We put them out in ways. These are issues that we are presenting to the public. You may notice that the PNP has put out some of its position. The government has made it very clear that it reserved the right to implement those positions because it is still the government. So we talk about a strong school feeding program. The government responds in 2 days' time and say, "Oh yeah, we'll implement that as well." And so there's two schools of thought. Some are saying, "Look, let us wait until the official campaign," because the question you ask is when is the election, and we don't know. We simply don't know at this point. We know that September is the anticipated period for the election. But as the Minister of Legal Affairs has come out and said recently without any question asked, is that, well, it doesn't have to be in September. The interpretation of the law has been wrong over the years and the practice has been wrong, and that they can go until December without any reason. Formally, we understood that to mean that you'll have it's the date of the last election as the end point, and there's a possible 3 months if it can be justified because of some emergency. The Minister of Legal Affairs comes and says, no, you got that interpretation. Strictly speaking, it can go up to 3 months. Well, there was a hue and a cry in the country, and the country have made it very clear that the expectation is that there will be an election in September, and they better have good reason if they want to go beyond that. So we anticipate that, and there's a period of time that an announcement must be made if the election is going to happen in September or July. So those who are watching those clocks very carefully, and we'll have some clue or some indication as to what the Prime Minister is thinking and what he's deciding to do. But I'm sure he's having his pollsters out every day, trying to figure if there's any opportunity for him to call it and win it. So I expect he's reading his tea leaf, but so are we.
What do the latest polls say?
Well, I can't. The latest announced one says the PNP have a 4-point lead, a 4-5% point lead. That's what the latest one said. I don't know if there's any secret one being done. I'm sure there are some polling going on. I'm not privy to say that, and if I did, I couldn't say it until it's officially announced.
Thank you, sir.
That answer sort of. Okay. Mr. Hylton, I want to turn to West St. Andrew and Waterhouse. Now, you are representing Waterhouse like for 18 years now, correct?
No, I don't
Am
think
I
it's
correct?
18. It's
Saying
not 18.
that you're representing Waterhouse
16.
now for 18 years.
No, it's my first
16?
I first got election in 2027. 2027.
2007.
7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the point, Michael? Go ahead.
Okay. Mike, you have seen the condition, the violence. When can we expect a trauma, a peace and justice campaign in Waterhouse? Because a lot of injustice exists in Waterhouse.
Yes, so such as, go ahead, so enumerate some of them. Mike, I mean, you say you assert that a lot of peace and
Well,
of injustice. So I'm saying enumerate them so we can, because everybody have a different view as to what is injustice and what is justice.
Well, okay, well, we know that at Malcolm Drive there's an ongoing conflict, and when that raises up, people have to stay off the street. We know that a lot of people in Waterhouse are complaining under the quiet because there's an influx of refugee, strange men, as our folks put it, now occupy the community, and the level of violence
which
that we have
community,
witnessed
Mike?
over the 18 years or the 20.
Michael, which other communities you have an influx
I'm
of?
talking about. Well, I know on the Gully Bank side, a lot of new face now. Yeah, on the Sandy people complaining about the strange men. So trying to understand what effort or what program in place to address the violence and the trauma experienced by residents. I
Yeah,
might be
well,
reading wrong, but I'm just giving you how people put it to me.
well. Let me put it this way, Michael. You clearly you clearly have a source of information about an influx. I have no such information about an influx of men in the area, certainly on the Gully Bank that you're talking about. It's an area that I presently have an interest in because of the Sandy Gully issues, and we're trying to address the breaches in the Sandy Gully. It's something the government and myself are literally at war on a daily basis. Um, so it is. If you have some information about influx in the area, I am not doubting it. We'll just simply have to ensure that we have our information right and to verify that. I can't say it is so and then start acting on that. I have to do my own checks. So I'll follow up on that.
Can you tell us what is happening in West St. Andrew?
That's a broad question. That's a very broad question. Like what?
Because I know you're in the community.
Yeah, so we know, but I mean,
Well, I
like
know
what?
you're in the community
Right. So I'm saying
amongst
we're trying. Yeah, we're trying to.
residents.
Yeah, but I'm saying that
Yeah,
a number of things are happening. We're trying right now. We're trying to
well,
get.
I'm interested.
We're having some delayed. We're having some
You're
delayed.
not coming across clear, Mikey. You're cutting in and out your
Yeah,
audio.
yeah.
Yeah.
This problem is critical. Cause we can't even let in everybody.
And we're having some delayed things.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you, Michael.
Okay. I'm interested in hearing about some of the projects that you're doing in Waterhouse, West St. Andrew. That's what I'm interested in, sir.
No, okay. Well, and we're talking West St. Andrew, that's beyond
What
Waterhouse,
can
including
what can
Waterhouse.
you tell us?
Well, you're out, but I get the gist of your question. We're implementing some of the Spark project, road project, to rehabilitate some of the roads, some in Waterhouse, some in Duane Park, some in Seaview Gardens, throughout the entire constituency. We are upgrading some roads. That is under the government Spark program. I must say, in Waterhouse, we have constantly, right now, we are in a serious debate with the government because though the project has been identified, the roads to be fixed, they have no pipes, and pipe upgrade is one of the preconditions. And they're saying to us that we have to wait until they buy pipes from China. Doesn't make sense, and we are currently locked in some strong debates about the urgency of getting those pipes from the NWC, which is the agency normally having the mandate to fix those pipes. So we're in constant discussion with them and the community. The community is kept abreast of what is going on, and in the fact that although the road has been identified, that include on the banks as well. That include on the east bank as well. The roads have been identified, but they're saying that the pipes need to be fixed. NWA has identified those roads as needing upgrading pipes or replacement of pipes. But they're saying they don't have the pipes. And so we're into a big argument now about where to source the pipe and how to source this pipe and how quickly those roads can be done. In the meantime, they've started a few roads. We've started a few roads, but some of the critical ones in Waterhouse and West Bay Farm Road and on near the East Bank, Dill Path. They're saying they can't begin because the pipes are not yet identified. So that's the source of arguments that we're having now with the government. Right. Apart
What's
from
the, what's the situation with what's the main issue now that is concerning the Sandy Gully situation?
well, the government has claimed that it has to study the situation first in circumstance where there are things that are very clearly, urgently needs to be done. And they're arguing that they have to study. In this year's budget, at my insistence, they have allocated some funds in this year's budget, but are telling us that the funds are to carry out studies. And I'm saying that that is nonsense, because as you look at the breaches that have already occurred in the Sandy Gully area, that doesn't need any studying. That needs action. That needs for them to act and to fix the breaches. But it's part of their method of temporizing, saying, oh, it's a lot of money and they have to study it because their processes require them to study these things and things. We're not. I can tell you that that is unsatisfactory to us. The breaches are clear and present danger. If it starts to rain again, I believe we're going to have a calamity on our hands, and we're not waiting for that. So I have a meeting with them this week, and we'll decide where we go from there after this meeting this week.
You think it's part of their election strategy, starving you out of whatever, as a means of, getting the upper hand in whatever election, how the people view both parties in the area? Could that
Well,
be a strategy?
Well, that may be their strategy, but we have made sure that the people know every step of the way the arguments that have been made, the advocacy, the representation that has been made, and we're saying that we have a meeting for this week to get from them clearly what is the approach and how they're going to deal with the urgent situations that exist. And we have to get some good answers. And if they're not, then we have to decide the next steps. But we have kept the people abreast of what is happening. They know what we are doing, the advocacy we have made. They have put some money, $4 billion in the budget, but are now telling us, when we say, well, when are you going to start spending that money? They're telling us that it is for studies, because it requires studies for them to get all the money that they need. And we're saying, but that's nonsense. There are some aspects of it. Yes, Sandy Gully itself has been years behind in cleaning, but there are aspects of it that presents a clear and present danger to the people, and we expect that those are going to be addressed immediately, not down the road after you study them. So we clearly have a strong difference as to how they proceed, and we're gonna get the people involved. The people have to have a say in what they're doing. So my job is to be very clear and to bring the people along in terms of information that we have and what the government is planning to do or not do, and then we'll decide how to respond to that. So I don't know what their intentions are, but whatever their intentions are, we're not going along with that. Right.
Mr. Hylton, yourself and the Prime Minister share, you both represent Waterhouse, both of you. My
No, we don't
turn
know
on
about that.
say, okay, let us deal with some problem. In terms of the problem, the gang warfare in Balcom Drive, okay, right on the border of your area, because you border the MP, right? Mr. Hylton?
Yes, yes, I'm listening. I thought you posed a question, or you still laying a foundation to the question.
Yeah, in terms of the problems, them, Mr. Hylton, we know Balcom Drive is that I'm not hearing him now. Les, are you hearing
I'm,
me?
I'm hearing you,
I'm here.
Mikey.
I'm hearing you. Yes, I'm listening for the question.
We hear you, Mikey. Just go on. Probably not hearing yourself.
Mr. Hylton, I was asking about the the problems at Balcom Drive. Okay. It and a problem which spill over into your constituency also. Right. When there's a problem at Balcom Drive, it affects both your area and the Mr. Holness area. My question to you: have you engaged the Prime Minister in how to mitigate the problems? Have
Let,
you?
let me let me make this very clear. The Prime Minister, that area of Waterhouse, the Prime Minister has had no demonstrable interest in this Sandy Gully issue that is now the major problem in that area. I've invited him to just appear just to see what is happening. He has shown no interest, no effort whatsoever. I can't even. I've invited the minister himself, and none of them. Neither the prime minister nor the minister has even looked at that area. So that gives you a sense as to he has clearly demarcated what his boundaries, his electoral boundaries are, and anything that falls outside of it, there's no interest. I tell you this: the Waterhouse Football Club, which is a major asset in the area, major source of
Okay.
entertainment. He has not been to a football match in that area because it's in the wrong area of his constituency. So that gives you an idea as to what his mindset is and his approach to governance in the area. I think that should tell you very clearly that that's just on the wrong side of the tracks so far as he's concerned. So far as he's concerned, that's a police matter. Those are police matters.
We do what you said police matters.
I said, so far as the prime minister is concerned, those are police matters.
Mr.
I
Hylton.
want to be very clear. We're not, Mike. We're having a problem because we're not communicating.
Okay. Last question,
Yeah.
John.
From my recollection, that what you raising, Mikey, is a traditional problem. I mean, after you go a certain way up Olympic way, it don't concern the prime minister anymore. I mean, we know that from long time. That's how it's always been. So, I mean, whatever happens in those areas, it might affect West St. Andrew, but I mean, the people in the area have to put pressure on the Prime Minister, just like how they put pressure on any other minister to get the kind of representation that they deserve. Right now it would seem the Prime Minister is mostly concerned about what's taking place down at St. Paul's Lane and those places. So, I mean,
Correct.
it's nothing new.
Correct.
But we have to emphasize the situation with Sandy Gully, because we who know the area very well know the kind of danger that the Sandy Gully pose. I remember those days when my old lady used to work across the boulevard, and before the Sandy Gully project finished, when rain fall, people couldn't cross on the other side. Used to have man there hustling just to pull the woman over on the other bank, and the loss of life and all that kind of thing that has been, over those years. So, I mean, we need to get that message out about the Sandy Gully and the neglect that, this government is showing towards it, But
Well,
something,
that message is very clear. That's what has prompted. That is what has prompted some budgeting. But what they've done is to just pretend as if they're doing something. Which, when I saw the 4 billion in the budget, I thought, well, okay, finally we're getting somewhere. Only to be told that is for studies, which I can't understand and I can't accept. So it tells you the games that are being played. And as I said, I have given the level of risk to the population on the East Bank. You'd have thought that a concerned Prime Minister would at least pay a visit, considering that up at Red Bridge is West Central, St. Andrew. But he has made no effort, has shown no interest in that, neither himself nor his minister. So I'm just saying that tells you the story. We have to carry, and we are insisting. I've spent entire session in the Parliament speaking about Sandy Gully more than once, more than twice, several times. He has all the pictures. So although he doesn't come, we've posted the pictures. We've sent them to him. And the Prime Minister said, "This is a clear and present danger." So Michael, my response to you is that has never been his concern. And so far as he's concerned, that is the PNP section of West Central and Central St. Andrew. And that is a police matter. That was my response to you.
What's the response of the local government?
How can we help to highlight this problem? What can we do? What role?
Well, I mean, just to the Sandy Gully issues there. If you Google it,
okay.
I can send you my statements. People just have to know that the representation has been made. This is not for lack of information or knowledge about the state of play there and the risk that it represents to people. That's there all over social media. All over social media.
So what is local government? What is local government? How is the local government ministry dealing with that issue? They're taking the same position as the Prime Minister.
That's up there. Well, the local government is part of the government. It's just a branch of the government. They take the cue from the Prime Minister, and if the Prime Minister is a adjoining constituency, and he's showing very little interest, what higher level of interest can the local government ministry demonstrate? The NWA, the National Works Agency, is the entity that is charged with dealing with major projects like that. And it is a National Works Agency. I can't get the minister himself to come and even look at it. So that's just willful neglect, Michael. That has nothing to do with representation. I've gone to them personally, directly. I've spoke on it in the parliament. Everybody in Jamaica knows my position on it. When they speak now, they say, well, we know MP Hylton, we know your position on Sandy Gully, but what is that? So it's not for lack of information. It's just willful neglect. And I challenge anybody
What can
from.
we do
But you
to
answered the question already,
bring
Joe.
attention to this issue? What
Yeah.
can we do? What more can we do?
I
What
don't
more
know
can
about
be
more.
done?
What have you done?
Mr. Hylton?
Mikey, you're not hearing me now. You're not hearing me because I'm responding, but he's not hearing.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
No, but I'm saying, what
Delay.
have you done? What have you
Yeah,
done
I'm
so
hearing
far?
you. I'm hearing you.
So I'm asking, what have you done so far? Because the 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 statements are there. Have you tried speaking to anyone at
Well,
NWA, for
we have
example?
talked about,
Will anyone at the NWA come on your program to answer to say what are
no,
they
we have
doing?
not. We have not.
Uh, that might be useful if you could get someone.
No, but that's a good suggestion.
Yes, yes, and I'm prepared to come
NWA,
on.
right?
Yes, I'm prepared to come on anytime.
Okay.
And they have a media person. I can get a name for and a number, and share it with you so you can
John, you're
invite.
very silent.
It's because I don't have anything to say.
Helpful. Yeah.
The minister
John, you're
is
very
telling you
silent.
that he has the number for someone you can contact. Did you hear that? That's a concrete suggestion. I think that would be very useful. Hello, Mikey. You heard what Mr. Hylton said?
Yes,
Mikey hearing us like
yes, I
5 minutes
did. I did.
after. It's not going good.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but
Mike, in
I'm hearing
terms of
everything. I'm hearing everything.
Why, Mikey?
yeah, so I will, in terms of what you said about the influx, Mikey, I'll look into that and we'll talk about it.
So, Mr. Hylton, in terms of the
Gentlemen, I think we're having
election,
some problem. We're having some problem.
in terms of the
Go ahead, Mr.
election, in the preparation in the constituency, how are things going, considering that we don't know what to expect from this government in terms of timing? How, how
Well,
are things going in the constituency, organizationally?
well, organizationally, we have good organization. We are improving. We have good, but you have to keep working on it because it's a process. So we have an organization and it's functioning and functioning well. Um, what what we have to do is prepare ourselves. We don't know when he might call it, but whenever he calls it, we'll be ready. We're making sure that all of our structures and our preparedness are in place and ready. We are not in any we're not out in colors campaigning. We are doing other kinds of campaigning, which is mainly focusing on the matters that the people have concern about, the roads and the community center, those pain points that we know the people are complaining about. That's what we are focused on right now, because until once you have the bureaucracy up and still functioning, as a sitting member of parliament, you have to move to make sure that all of that which is there for the people are gotten out while the bureaucracy is functioning. Because once the election is called, that bureaucracy closes down and nothing else happens. So our focus now is to make sure that the programs that have just been passed in the budget, that those programs are implemented as quickly as possible, so that the benefits to be had are flow to the people, and can affect them materially. So that's our focus right now. I'm a sitting member of parliament, and so I have to make sure that those programs are implemented as quickly as we can. So that's my focus, apart from making our preparation quietly and putting in place what we know needs to be put in place, so that whenever he calls it, we are ready to rumble.
In the northern sections of the constituency, I've been seeing quite a bit of reading about quite a bit of activity, with Darlan. Seem like they're making some, well, they're presenting a picture as if they're making some inroads in those sections of the constituency. How you see that northern section of your constituency?
I don't see or heard of Mr. Darlan. So, well, whatever he's doing, we are fortified in all areas. So we have no particular anxiety or concern.
Okay.
He's doing, I presume. I've not seen him. I've heard about him, but I've not seen him. So I don't know. But we are doing what we're doing. Our campaign is not based upon what Darlan or anyone else is doing. It's based upon what we know needs to be done.
So, as the violence affected the recent upsurge in some sections of the community, has that violence affected your preparation, organization in any way?
No, but what recent upsurge are you referring to? There are incidents, but I have
Well,
not.
incidents. Well,
Yeah.
incident. Probably that's the proper word.
Yeah, I
Because
can't
incidents
speak.
I've
Yeah,
read about.
there are sporadic incident, but I can't speak to an upsurge of any violence at the moment. But the
Okay.
short answer is no. None of that is affecting our preparation.
Sounds good.
We are keeping a watchful eye on all situations, but none of them have any particular um, um, concern or anxiety. The Balcom Drive situation is there, but their outreach, to that, and Mike, if you want to know some off here, what are some other things? Because I'm not going to be saying exactly what we're doing or not doing, but I can assure you that there is contact and there is engagement.
I was taking a look at the comments.
Can you hear me? Last
Yes, we hear you now, Mikey.
John, Mr. Hylton, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm hearing you, Mikey. Come on.
What were you saying, John?
Yeah, I said I was reading through the comments in the at the side there. What you call that again?
The chat?
In the chat, yeah. And Herbie said there are questions here, but look like most of the questions is from Herbie. So unfortunately or fortunately, there are some negative comments about you, Mr. Hylton, and your role in the constituency. They don't feel that you represent the area properly. I mean, I have no I don't know what basis that is. It's just a statement by one or two of the people. But outside of that, I don't see any questions or comments that I can even bring up.
Well, let me, well, just to say, needless to say, you're always going to find persons who don't think you're representing the way they would like, and that's okay. I understand that. But I'd have to know what in particular they are referring to, because I don't even know. I'm sure there are persons who have their views and are unhappy, but I believe the overwhelming.
The person who made that comment said that you're lazy. That I don't know you to be lazy.
Yeah,
You may
well,
not like what you're doing or something, but
yeah,
that is a general statement, which
yeah. Well,
I
I
mean,
don't.
do you have a routine, for example? It's one of the things that I've always thought would be helpful is that members of parliament have some ability in terms of the frequency with which they
Hey,
visit
folks, can you
the
hear me?
community, and do you have any kind of rhythm or routine that you're?
Last John, Mr. Hilton.
We hear you, Mikey.
But may,
Yeah,
may I talk and can you hear me? As asking a question or
I
raising
think
a
we
comment.
have we having a technical problem, and I think Mr. Mr. Hilton, I want to apologize for this. Okay, and I think we have to problem, technical problem. Once we sort this out, Mr. Hilton, are you willing to come back?
well, if we can find a convenient time because we are on the road. Yeah,
Mr.
if we find
Hilton?
Mikey, I'm saying once we can organize the convenient time because we're
Yes,
on the road. So once we can find a convenient time, sure. But John, in the meantime, you
yes.
can ask whomever it is. Just ask him to be specific, right?
Yeah,
Rather
man,
than
we can, those
I'll,
comments.
I'll,
My only
I'll, I'll
suggestion
find.
was, yeah, my only suggestion, Mr. Hilton, is whether you have a routine, whether the
What?
PNP insists on some kind of routine for members of parliament to be in their communities, meeting with the community leadership and so on.
yeah,
That's the question I would ask,
yeah.
there.
But yeah. So John, let me just say we have those, and it will be interesting to know if those persons have ever been to one of these meetings that I have. I don't know which section of the constituency. Up to last night, I had house meetings in Duena Park last night. Up to last night. Today, as I said, I'm in another part of the constituency at some funeral services, and persons are approaching it anywhere, everywhere, raising issues. And quite frankly, with the communication that is available now, persons are WhatsApping and speaking to you directly on a number of things so that you have meetings, you invite persons to community meetings. They invariably don't show up. Some do, some don't, but you still have them. You still have your meetings, and there any opportunity for any number of persons to express themselves either directly to me or to community reps or the councillor. These are all part of an apparatus
Correct.
um, that works. So I don't know that there's anyone with any issue that can communicate with me either directly or indirectly on any
On that
issue.
note, I'm reminded that the leader of the opposition mentioned launching a program in the community. Is his constituency, but it was a general program that the PNP would be launching to assist um, projects in each community. You know about the one that we are in the process of putting together. Hopefully it should at least be completed by the time election is called. And I just wanted to know how you, as the MP, do you have funds that we can approach you directly, or what would be the method that can be used to assist the program? It's a program to to develop, similar to the Bob Marley program in the Trenchtown area, but based on the musicians that have come out of Waterhouse.
Yeah. What is the question?
The question was, in what ways can you give assistance financially in support of such a program? I mean,
No,
does it exist as you being in the whether it's in the government when it comes back or currently?
No, but I'm not clear as to what the program is, John. Just explain to me what the program is so I can understand.
Yes, the program, Mikey, you want to say something on that, or can you hear? What we're developing is a project to train youths in making dub. Jammies is Jammies. What's the name of the guy from Waterhouse again?
King Jammies, yes. Jammies.
Yes, King Jammies. So it encompasses many aspects, but that is one aspect. And we are in the process of completing the details of such a program. My question really is a more general one. If there is a project that will embrace the community and as well give, be of benefit to the youths in the community, is there any fund of any kind or trust, or how I understood your party leader when he was speaking in the budget? He made a comment, I think he said $1 billion. I'm not sure if that's...
Yeah, okay. That's a plan. That's a plan. It's not a MP plan. It's the forecast for what government, a PNP government would do in terms of the creative industries. Right? And they put forward specifically the idea that they'll have $1 billion to assist in community projects, the kind that we have started in Waterhouse with a music studio that needs now an injection of capital for completion. Incidentally, that program, we had gotten funding through USAID, and with the advent of Donald Trump, that was canceled. So we now are, looking at, and this is where the $1 billion fund that the leader of opposition mentioned would be very, very helpful, very useful in projects like this for completion, because we have started the project, it's well underway, and need no fundings that have disappeared with the USAID program, that these funds could replace for projects like this to bring them to completion. So we do have a program, yes. But the funding, what the $1 billion that the leader of opposition mentioned would be funding from the government of Jamaica, rather than relying on any other source of funding.
But you mentioned that funding from the USAID was earmarked for this program. Yes. I didn't know that.
Yes. Well, I don't. I'm talking about the project in my constituency. I'm not talking about the program widely. I don't.
No, I know you're saying the studio program
in Waterhouse. Yes.
Right, in Waterhouse.
Yes. Yeah, that program, we had funds sufficient to conclude that and to do some other things at the community center in Baga Park. Yes.
Can you say how much that money was? Or it don't matter anymore?
It don't matter anymore. It disappeared. I mean, it's gone. But
Right.
you really are talking about funds sufficient to complete the studio and to pave a netball court and a boxing rink. Those are the three things that we're focused on at the community center.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Good.
Folks, Mr. Hylton, you see the problem that you see the technical problem that we are having, and
Mhm.
I think we have to because somehow we're having technical problems. So as soon as we sort this out, for the listeners, I want to apologize. This technical problem is beyond our control. By next Sunday, we should have everything resolved. I thought we had, but obviously nothing worked out.
Yeah.
So until next week, I want to say thank you to Mr. Hylton, to the listeners, and to the panel. Do like, subscribe, and share this platform with your friends, your enemy, and your best friend. Okay, so until next week, be good. All right, guys, everything okay? Mr. Hylton, I'll be in touch.
All right. Good, guys. All right. Thank you for having me. All right. Good.
Boy, gentlemen, I don't know what the fuck happened.